Most of us want to live sustainably, but honestly, it can be hard. Hello and welcome. I'm Sadhika Tiwari and you're watching Eco India. For sustainability to become more than just a statement, it needs to be practical and seamlessly fit into our lives. Sustainability now as an idea is not just about distant plans. It's about everyday choices, and more people are trying now to use less, waste less, and rebuild what's been damaged. When we talk about sustainability, the real test is whether change can be both clean and fair for everyone. But that balance is becoming harder to maintain, especially in cities that are struggling with air pollution. Retrofitting old tech could let people hold on to what they own and still move towards greener choices, like modifying old vehicles to make them cleaner without asking people to buy new. This sounds like a fair deal. Let's see what it looks like.
Is this the missing piece in India's journey towards e-mobility? This compact module is being installed in old diesel trucks near Delhi. A process called retrofitting transforms them into clean electric vehicles fit for the future.
Look, when you want to, go towards electric vehicles, look at an existing truck. The chassis, the cabin, the body can all be reused. The only thing that is really causing the pollution problem is this engine, right? So what we do is we remove these polluting components, we install a brand new electric powertrain and drivetrain, and convert an ICE truck into a smart zero emissions truck.
But how to scale it up? It is estimated that more than 15 million vehicles throng the streets of the Indian capital Delhi. Very few are electric. Every winter, the city struggles with dangerous air pollution levels. Vehicles account for almost half of the particulate matter pollution and are major CO2 emitters too. Delhi could become a model for megacities in other emerging economies, also striving to slash greenhouse gas emissions.
If we are thinking about a net zero economy. And obviously, automobile sector is at the center of this transformation. Instead of buying new vehicle, if I can retrofit and upgrade my existing vehicle, environmentally speaking, it is superior.
But instead of massively investing in the conversion of old vehicles, city authorities are responding with contingency plans. If air pollution soars, drivers have to take older diesel and petrol vehicles off the roads immediately. Ravindra Singh Rathore, who drives for a living, is among those affected. His car has not been paid off yet. Driving bans cost him dearly. This is a 2019 model and the monthly installment costs 42,000 rupees. That's roughly 500 euros. Daily, that means about 1,500 rupees, about 17 euros. Then there is rent, the children's school fees, and their other expenses. Altogether, it translates into daily shortfall of around 30 euros. And radical measures such as scrapping diesel and petrol cars or banning them from the roads according to their age are unfair and uneconomical, says Chandra Bhushan, head of the environmental NGO iForest.
The criteria for scrappage should be based on fitness, whether the vehicle is safe to run or not, on pollution parameter, whether it is meeting the pollution parameter or not.
Fewer than 8% of Delhi's vehicles are electric, though the goal is 30% by 2030. Progress is slow despite new policies and charging stations.
As far as the potential is concerned, I think these schemes are there. Cities are trying to build infrastructure, but still this electrification is, the rate is not changing that much. So I think it's a time to take a pause, to do the assessment, understand what are the challenges, and should we really put so much efforts into this, or we should just opt for low carbon mobility options, which are walk, bus and cycle.
And the stakes are high. Heavy commercial vehicles are major polluters. India has millions of trucks and buses responsible for roughly 40% of its transport-related CO2 emissions. Retrofitting could help. At IX Energy in Delhi, vehicles are being converted to run cleaner. They claim the process can add up to 7 years to a vehicle's life. Diesel engines need more maintenance once they are 5 or 6 years old. You save those maintenance costs if you go electric. The chassis of city vehicles are still in good shape. If you add an electric powertrain, your costs drop from 12 rupees per kilometer to 4 per kilometer. The company has developed its own powertrain unit and software, which has been certified by the government. With a 15% team, conversion takes around 2 weeks. And the result is around 40% cheaper than buying a new electric truck. Delhi wants some 3% of older vehicles to have been converted by March 2026. However, a lack of guidelines, patchy standards, and low government incentives are slowing the process down. There are currently only some 27 certified retrofitters for 2, 3, and 4-wheel vehicles India-wide. Anshu Diwan, founder and CEO of IX Energy, says retrofitting receives far fewer subsidies than buying a new electric vehicle, and that makes it harder to convince people to make the switch.
If government wants electrification at a mass scale, then they need to promote retrofits, and for that to happen, they need to simplify the rules for certification and the testing agencies.
Indian consumer goods manufacturer Dabur is already using electric trucks converted by IX Energy. These vehicles have been part of its delivery fleet since 2020 and currently supply 26 different warehouses.
We were actually experimenting with different technologies, EV, CNG, etc. And on the way, we also got to know about the retrofit vehicles. We found this technology to be more sustainable than probably the EVs also, because these are old vehicles which we are trying to recycle by retrofit. So that's how we thought that it will be worth to experiment with this technology also.
India's public electric charging infrastructure is still lagging behind. There is currently only one public station per 235 electric cars. For professional drivers like Ravindra Singh Rathore, that is the biggest obstacle to switching to electric. The authorities have not been able to cope with supplying compressed natural gas. There are still queues at the CNG pumps. It's not that you go, fill up and leave. So if you're promoting EV so much, then at least provide enough charging stations. India's capital Delhi has a long way to go in the transition to sustainable mobility. Retrofitting could play a key role by transporting existing vehicles into a new, low-emission future, and that approach could inspire megacities worldwide.
Sustainability often begins with small habits that we repeat every day. And some communities show us just how far those habits could take us. In our next story, we go to a place in Italy which is showing us that waste doesn't necessarily have to be a part of modern life. It's a simple look at what changes when the relationship between a town and what it throws away transforms.
500 kilos of trash per person per year. That's the European average. And the waste piles up every day. But one town in Italy is saying stop and showing us there's another way.
We're a family of 5, 3 kids, 2 adults. We produce about 3 bags of waste each year. That's around 30 kilos.
30 kilos a year? It might sound unbelievable, but in the Tuscan town of Capanori, families living almost waste-free is normal. Step by step, using a system that Martina lives by.
This is the bin for waste. Everything that can't be recycled ends up here. For example, these cotton pads I use at work. Unfortunately, these disposable rubber gloves are also waste. I also need those for my work.
The same principle extends to the furnishings. Nothing new, everything is reused. All part of becoming a zero-waste family.
The mattress, the bed frame, and this closet came from a house in town that was being renovated. They called us and asked us for help and gave us this wardrobe. It's from the 1920s. Giving things a second chance is a lovely idea, and it should be more than a theory. It should be a way of life.
Buongiorno, Martina.
Behind the Caponori revolution is Rossano Eccolini. Here, waste is regularly weighed and sampled. He's interested in what's left over. 86.5% of Caponori's waste is already being recycled, thanks to a door-to-door collection system. To him, trash isn't waste, it's a design flaw.
Zero waste means repair, reuse, analyse. The average citizen can recycle, but if something can't be recycled, the responsibility lies with the manufacturer. It's a design flaw. Products should be made to be recyclable or reusable, not tossed as trash.
His research centre studies waste. Any items that show up too often as waste ends up on a list, and the research centre contacts the manufacturer. Companies often respond, interested in working together to find recyclable alternatives. After all, if waste is a mistake, it can be fixed.
Here are 107 products that we can say are either easily recyclable, partly recyclable, or sensibly reusable. That's how it should be.
46,000 people live in Caponori. Each household sorts their garbage in different bags and places them by the front door. Waste collectors also check if they have been sorted properly. These warehouses at the edge of town show us what zero waste living looks like. The municipality has 6, right next to the recycling centre. Here, clothes, furniture and much more are given a second life, with the help of Annalisa Pacci from De Capo.
What looks like trash is actually a valuable resource. People donated items directly to us. Unfortunately, about 10% of it winds up in the landfill. The rest, though, 90%, gets a new life, either through free redistribution or the social thrift store.
What looks like a warehouse is a treasure trove for thrift store lovers. Items here get a second life, so do the staff. Currently, there are 30 employees working here. More than 100 families a year benefit directly from the project.
If they meet our criteria, people with low incomes can take what they need for free.
While there are social benefits, it's a concrete measure against climate change.
When I repair something, I don't need new raw materials for it, and there's no manufacturing pollution.
More than 300 cities in Europe are already following this example. Caponori might be the first, but it certainly won't be the last zero-waste city.
Sometimes the strongest push towards sustainability comes from the people who face the most uncertainty. In places where the weather keeps changing without any warnings, farmers are now learning to trust their own instinct and knowledge and rebuild old skills in new ways. Let's go and meet a community of women in Maharashtra who are refusing to wait for the perfect conditions and are paving their own way, one choice at a time.
This is nothing short of a miracle. It rarely rains in the inhospitable areas of the Dhalashiv district of Maharashtra. Nevertheless, the farmers here manage to grow crops on their fields. They have learned how to do this over the centuries. For the past 10 years or so, however, there have been repeated and sudden heavy downpours, so heavy that entire harvests are lost. Sangamitra Ankush Rao lives in Bamni, a village in the district. The work of the 42-year-old here in the fields is becoming increasingly unpredictable.
This May, we were not expecting rainfall to affect our sowing. We no longer know when to do what. Now we have finished sowing. Still, there is no rainfall.
Sugarcane and soybeans are the region's most important crops, but they are sensitive. The timing of sowing, rainfall, and periods during growth have to be right. Due to the unpredictable weather, Sangamitra's father repeatedly suffered heavy losses on his fields. He made many mistakes back then, Sangamitra tells us.
We did not know, for example, that we could use our own homegrown seeds. My father used to buy them. He also used pesticides, and any other profits were spent on buying more seeds. Losses piled up, and any revenue went on purchasing seeds, fertilizer, etc.
Some time ago, Sangamitra took over the work on her father's farm, and she has made quite a few changes. With a seed drill, she can sow the grain faster and more efficiently. Drip irrigation ensures that the plants get enough water, but never too much. She built the pond for rainwater herself, and she got rid of her father's monoculture plantations.
I have adopted the Sari technique. There are 3 types of crops, and I am growing gawar, mirchi, shepu in one Sari line. These are 3 useful crops.
The soybeans were lost in the heavy rains 2 years ago, but the yields from other crops helped her get through the year. She does not use pesticides and makes her own fertilizer. Sangamitra learned everything she knows from Swayam Shikshan Prayog, or SSP for short. This grassroots women's empowerment organization has been working to promote women's rights for more than 20 years. In workshops lasting several weeks, women learn the basics of sustainable agriculture. This is traditional farming and includes predicting weather patterns based on animal behavior.
If birds make their nest high in the tree, then it means there will be less rain. When they nest lower down, it means there will be heavy rains.
In addition, women here are taught basic economic skills, knowledge most of them lack. As in most parts of India, women here have no right to own land. SSP has been helping women for some time now to have their land transferred from their families to their own names. Here in the district, 2% of women have succeeded in acquiring their own land. Getting this far has been a slog. We realized that if women became involved in decision making and generated income, the whole family would benefit, and women would be involved in this way. So I started telling male farmers in each home, say you have 10 acres of land, give 1 acre to her and let her farm it. Suvarna Mote owns her own land. Her husband died in an accident, leaving behind the 30-year-old and her 2 children. With the organization's help, she managed, albeit in a roundabout way, to have 2 hectares of land owned by her parents-in-law transfer to her own name. It was clear to her from the outset that she would do things very differently from her husband.
My husband used to grow soybeans and sugarcane. That required a lot of chemical pesticides and a lot of water.
Suvarna too now cultivates her fields using traditional methods, which enable her to better withstand the uncertainties of climate change. SSP struggles to convince families, and especially men, to give part of their land to women. Government programs help in that respect.
It enables women to gain security, while on the other hand, male farmers realize that by giving their wives land rights, they will receive subsidies and crop insurance.
More than 16,000 women in this region have got their own land thanks to SSP. And the use of traditional farming methods is helping them better withstand the unpredictability of climate change.
A lot of what we throw away still has value, but we just get so used to throwing things away, even when so much more can be derived from them after they've served their primary purpose. For a farm, simply rethinking their waste changed everything. What once had very limited uses became a resource that helped cut down emissions and lower costs.
Chickens may provide us with eggs and meat, but poultry farming also generates a lot of excrement that harms the environment. Bablan, a farmer in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu, used to sell it as fertilizer. But it releases methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. And handling all that chicken manure was a messy, unpleasant job.
Before, we needed a lot of manpower to handle the waste. But now, with the conveyor belt, we just need 2 people to handle the whole process. The waste reaches the tank via the belt.
That tank is a part of biogas facility, purchased with a neighbor from a local environmental technology company. It converts the waste into electricity, powering 2 farms.
This plant costs around 7 million rupees, and we can recover that amount in just 5 years. Since this system requires very little maintenance, it is highly beneficial and profitable for farmers.
Green solutions like this are urgently needed. In Tamil Nadu alone, there are around 5,500 poultry farms. Their waste releases methane, which is more than 25 times as potent as carbon dioxide, in terms of trapping heat in the atmosphere and driving up temperatures.
So, we get 8 tons of poultry litter per day, and the biogas plant is constructed accordingly. It is possible to generate 800 to 1000 kilowatts of electricity per day from 8 tons of waste. As you can see, this is the storage balloon where we have stored the gas that contains 80% methane, and with that gas we can run the generator.
In the biogas facility, the chicken waste is converted into electricity. It works like this. The excrement is mixed with water and fermented in a tank with bacteria to create methane. It is then further purified.
Then we have 2 separators that remove moisture and carbon dioxide. We get filtered gas that has 80% of methane, and it is stored in this storage balloon.
The gas is burned and produces electricity via a turbine.
The stored gas from the balloon reaches the generator through the pipeline. Now, as you see, I'll start the generator without any supporting fuel.
Bablan's 20,000 chickens produce a huge amount of waste each day, enough to generate around 500 kilowatt hours of electricity. Rather than sending it to the wider grid, Bablan and his fellow farmer use nearly all of it for fans and conveyor belts.
Our electricity bill used to be around 400,000 rupees. At a price of roughly 10 euro cents per kilowatt, this was a major challenge for us. Now, with biogas, we can generate 1,000 kilowatts of power from 8 tons of waste. It has reduced our bill by about 2,500 euros, which is roughly 3/4 of the entire amount.
Chicken manure has been used for biogas for around 20 years. But only recently has it been possible to install compact plants right at the fuel source, on farms like this one.
That's all for today's episode. Sustainability can feel like a big idea, but at the end of the day, it's all about the small choices that we make and how we commit to them again and again. Can you spot a local idea around you that is making sustainability an easy choice? Do let us know. We'd love to hear about it. And do not forget to follow us on our Instagram at DW_environment for more such stories.
Gen Z is ditching fast furniture and cookie-cutter room setups. Secondhand is not just about budget. It's about sustainability, personality, and furniture with history. Cheap, mass-produced home decor is designed for convenience, not for durability, and it comes at a cost. Forests worldwide are being felled for furniture like this. According to Greenpeace, IKEA, the world's largest industrial wood consumer, is currently sourcing wood from one of Europe's last remaining ancient forests in Romania. And those easy-to-assemble beds, chairs, and sofas are unlikely to be recycled. In the US, 80% of discarded furniture is landfilled before the end of its natural life cycle. Pre-loved, high-quality furniture is a vibe and more likely to last.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I will see you next week. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Namaskar.